Good morning and welcome to the Backyard 5-2 podcast. With us today, we have the man, the myth, the legend, Mitch Harris. We had the pleasure of serving with Mitch on board USS Carr, did a couple deployments, and had a lot of good stories to hear from Mitch. Played baseball at the Naval Academy, and in lieu of his dream of playing Major League Baseball right out of college, the opportunity he had to serve out an obligation to the U.S. Navy. He filed many waivers trying to get to the major leagues, but manning commitments. That was the excuse we always got. So Mitch waited his time out, and in January of 2013, he got the authorization to serve out the rest of his time in the Naval Reserves. Mitch, walk us through what that first spring training was like. Pitchers and catchers report, you can finally don that Cardinals jersey. You work with the likes of Yachty and Adam Wainwright. That had to be surreal, right?
Yeah, so the first spring training was embarrassing, to say the least. Imagine not doing anything for like 5 years, and then you coming in. Like, I was in good shape, like I came in the locker room. My first spring I was in minor league spring training, so I didn't have the luxury of going to, hang out with Yachty and Wayno and those guys, but which I'm probably happy about because it was that bad. But it was great. It was kind of funny, coming to the clubhouse as this 27-year-old rookie who's like chiseled, just came off the deployment not too long ago, great shape. Everyone's like, who is this guy? Like, he's going to be really, really good. I go through a bullpen, and they were like, "Oh my God, this guy sucks." So yeah, it was pretty embarrassing, but it was a blast because you can imagine whatever we've all had some big dreams, and when you finally are like, "All right, this is it, I'm doing it." Like, that was kind of the motivator to be like, you know what, you suck now, but look, you didn't wait all these years to do this and suck, so you're gonna get better. It'll come. So it was fun, but it was more of a motivating factor than anything else.
Yeah, clearly it got better.
Yeah, a little bit. I was throwing about 82, 83 max effort my first spring training.
Ooh, yeah, that's
no bueno.
Left a lot to be desired, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So when you finally get the call to the bigs, what's that feeling like? All the deployments, all the hard work. You had to work to get back into baseball shape. You said you were in shape, but there's a difference between being in shape and being in athletic shape, right? Playing
right.
Baseball. Walk us through that. You toiled in the minors for 2 seasons. You finally get that call. What's that like?
Okay, so imagine here's a way that I can let you have a little taste of what it's like. Imagine you're in the last turn in Norfolk, and you can see the pier, and you're like, oh yeah, coming back from a 6 or 7 monther, and you're just freaking ready to go. You know what I'm saying? Times that by like 1,000,000. That's about what it felt like.
I can imagine. I know that feeling getting back to Norfolk and getting off deployment. So
yeah, that's about as close as it gets, which really is not that close because you're like, this is never going to happen. And then you walk out and there's 40,000 people just screaming. And then it's like, okay, I got to throw this ball over a 17-inch plate. Good luck.
How'd you calm the adrenaline?
I would say I didn't. I would say that I used the adrenaline to give me an extra, mile an hour or two. But, I just told myself, like, hey, you didn't come all this way and do, put on the hard work to suck now. Like, let's freaking give it to them, like you got to have a little bit of a, you can't be arrogant. You got to have a little cockiness though, for the fact that if you come in like, ooh, am I going to be okay? Am I going to be able to play with these guys? Like, you're probably going to get your tits lit. But if you come in and you're like, you know what, I'm going to freaking shove it up this dude, and go right after him. That's what you got to do. And that's what I told myself, and it worked, at least for the first hitter.
Right. Nice. Raul, you got a question for him?
I do, actually, conveniently located in this list of questions that we sent over to you a couple days ago. All right, so Mitch, how you doing? I miss
I'm
you.
great.
I miss you, buddy. All right.
Buenos dias.
It's like low-key racist, but I'll take it. All right. So you were chosen to receive the Tony C Award. It represents perseverance, overcoming adversity. Was there ever a time serving out your service obligation that you felt like you were losing faith in, your potential to one day step on that mound on the major league stage?
Absolutely. There was definitely days where, I get this question a lot. There's a lot of times where there were days where you're out in the middle of nowhere and you just had, the 2-7 or the 10-2, and you're like, this is awful. And now I have to go back to work in 5 hours. You know what I mean? It's usually those days where I was like, am I ever going to play baseball again? But in the same sense, as cheesy as this sounds, and I say it all the time, if it wasn't for crazy guys like you two and the other bozos that were on the ship who are always asking like, hey, why are you running on the flight deck? Like, what are you doing back here? Like, are you going to go throw? Like, let's go and stuff like that. Like, as cheesy as it sounds, it was a motivator for me because, when my guys, what I told my guys was always, look, if you're a career Navy guy, awesome. If you're a guy that says, you know what, I joined because I want to further my career, in cybersecurity, whatever it is, hey, I'm trying to do something different or go to college or whatever that next step is. That's what I wanted my guys to do, is say, you know what, I'm going to take what I got here, use it for my advantage, and strive for whatever my goal is. So if I didn't do that, then, I would be hypocritical. So I knew if I was telling my guys that and the guys knew that I was telling them that, and they were giving it back to me, that I had to put some effort in and make sure that I accomplished that. So yeah, it was definitely days where, I thought, I don't know this will ever happen. But more often than not, in the back of my mind, I knew like, it might not, but I'm going to do everything on my part to make sure that it does happen.
And that definitely, we all witnessed it, having the time with you on deployment, dealing with everything that we were dealing with and having to sit there. I know that there were days, I remember specifically several times where we would be crossing the pond or on deployment or something. We'd be on the 7 and, one of us would be doing something. We'd be trying to cheer each other up because, between everything in the 2-7, it's either misery or a falling asleep standing up. It's pretty much the gist of a good 2-7 watch.
Yeah, never did that.
Yeah, good answer. So
for those of you out there that don't know what the 10-2 or 2-7 is, those are times in the middle of the night after a long work day that we're staying and watch to make sure that the ship is safe and that we are conducting our mission appropriately. So times of night, 2 a.m, 7 a.m, that's a miserable 5 hours.
Miserable. And then so definitely seeing it. I'm glad, obviously, that you were able to overcome that. That takes a lot of mental strength and perseverance, if you will. So that pretty much answered my follow-up question, which was, how did you put that out of your mind and focus on that? Focus on the grand prize. So you're stepping on the mound. Your very first time on the mound. You've got a batter standing in front of you. You are officially on the major league stage. What is like going through your mind?
Don't screw this up. You know what I mean? Well, it's kind of a bittersweet day because it was the same day, it was like the third or fourth inning. We're in Milwaukee, and Adam Wainwright, during his at bat, tore his Achilles. And we all knew, sitting in the bullpen, we were like, oh, boy, that sucks for somebody. Somebody's going to have to go like 4 or 5. And we had a long guy, long reliever. And so we were kind of all looking at him. He started stretching like, geez, this is going to be brutal. And none of us had really gotten up the stretch because, it was the third inning and Waino was pitching, which we normally is associated with at least 6 or 7. And phone rings and they say, Harris, you're in. And I was like, whoa, that sucks for that guy. Like, oh, shoot, that's me. Like I wasn't ready to, what I mean? Like I wasn't anticipating that was going to happen because it was like, it was a tied game. And I thought, wow, this is a little early for, me to go in. But I hadn't thrown in at least 3 days. And so, I rush it, get ready, loosen up, and, go in the next inning, get out there. And I was throwing to Yachty, and I was just like, boy, this is it. This is it. Yachty's calling the signs. So whatever he puts down, I will throw it, even if I don't have it.
There's no
so
shaking Yachty off.
Nope. No. It doesn't matter if he throws down a 7. You're going to throw whatever you think a 7 is. You know what I mean?
Figure it out.
Yeah. So no, it was amazing. And because, like I said, it was kind of that. I felt like, and this is kind of going back to the military with us. It was kind of like, one of my guys is down. I got to step it up for him. And so I got to make sure that I take care of Wayno, who really took care of the clubhouse and the pitching staff for sure. He was the leader, is the leader in the clubhouse. And so I thought, if he's going to go down, I got to step up. And so that kind of helped me kind of like, zone everything in and really focus on what I need to get done.
Excellent. So one last thing here before we get to our usual salute to service that closes out our shows here at Backyard Sports. Walk us through what a game day was like. I know, it's got to be completely different in the major leagues. You're sitting on the bullpen away from everybody. Collegiately, typically that's not how it works. You get the dugout and kind of hanging out. Some ballparks will have a bullpen and whatnot, but you're disconnected really from really the rest of the team. What's that routine like? How do you prepare yourself? I know you said the first day you weren't prepared because Wayno usually goes 6. You usually get a quality start out of him. You just weren't ready. But any other typical day, what's your routine like on game day?
Usually for the first first couple hours you're at the field, maybe playing some Mario Kart, maybe swimming a little bit, watching TV. I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. None of that happens. But you get to the field at like lunchtime. And that's what people don't realize is, you had all my buddies saying like, oh man, it's so good for you to have such a cake job now. I'm so happy for it. And it's like, I would love to have a day off. Like people don't understand. It's like literally every day. And obviously I loved it, but there was definitely a price to pay for that. And the price was you're working long hours every day of the week. We showed up around lunchtime every day. I'd eat lunch at the field. After I ate lunch, I'd kind of just relax and change clothes and kind of start getting focused about, what I wanted to do that day prior to the game. If it was lift, if it was go get some treatment, have the trainer stretch me out, look at some stuff because you're constantly battling. Hey, I've got a little discomfort here, or, hey, this has been sore there. So just taking care of your body. If I needed to go get in the whirlpool, you get in the whirlpool. And then you get to, 3 o'clock or so, depending on what time the game is. And you have, BP, you go out and throw and kind of get your mind kind of ready for that night's game. And then just before, the game, about an hour or so before the game, you go back in the clubhouse, eat, relax, maybe put some headphones in, just chill out, kind of focus on, that game. Hey, if I know I'm going to be hot that night or I've got a good chance of being in the game, I just want to think about some of the hitters that we've gone over, some of the scouting reports that we've got. And then really you head down to the bullpen, right at the beginning of the game or maybe halfway through the first inning is usually what we did if we're at home. And then honestly, the first couple innings, you're still kind of just getting adjusted, kind of just getting settled in. And then by the third or fourth inning, it's really like, all right, I'm locked in. First inning or two, especially for late middle to late inning guys, you're kind of still getting kind of settled in. But about third inning, fourth inning, you're really locked in and understand what's going on and start to get really prepared. So,
excellent. Raul, take us home. Salute to service.
it might actually help if I take the mute off.
That might help.
It just helping. All right. So this episode, Salute to Service, is going to go to Army Sergeant First Class Stephen B. Cribben. He was a special warfare operator serving in Operation Freedom Sentinel. He passed away November 4th of this past year. He passed away in Logar Province as a result of wounds sustained while engaged in combat operations, and he was attached to 2nd Battalion, 10th Special Forces Group. So this week's episode will go to you, sir. May you rest in peace. We have the watch.
All right, so Mitch, you got any advice to pass along to some young, aspiring, possibly collegiate or professional ball players?
Other than, I try to tell a lot of guys, if I'm I do lesson every now and then, or, people ask me to come out to speak to little league teams and high school teams, stuff like that. And recently I spoke out at one of the colleges here in Georgia that was having their banquet kickoff. And I always tell them is, everybody has a goal. At least you should. And if you don't, you kind of should rethink about what you're doing. You're just kind of going through the motions if you don't have a set goal of where you want to be. And I told him, I said, when you have a goal, the whole point is to get that goal, is to reach that goal. And if you're not setting a high enough goal, then you're not doing it right. You should reach a goal to where when you say it, it almost feels like, man, that's tough, but then you have to challenge yourself to stick to it, not listen to the peanut gallery of saying, oh, I don't know, that's too much. I don't think you'll be able to do that. And really just strive for it, challenge yourself and accept the challenge and really strive to meet what you think you have the capability of doing. Only you know how far you can go. And I think sometimes too many people sell themselves short and don't really shoot for what they have the capability of doing and not maximizing their talents and capabilities. So I always like to tell, especially the younger guys and people who are still on that journey to reach that goal is one, never give up, and two, don't listen to anybody but yourself. And then even when yourself, starts to doubt, rethink about why you're doing it and why you really, chose to reach that goal, and then take a step back and really assess where you're at, and then keep pushing.
Excellent. That's some sage advice. I like that. Never give up. Challenge yourself. So that being said, this has been the Backyard 5-2 podcast. I want to thank Mitch Harris for joining us. And Raul, thank you for being a player. Over and out.